Good evening. Let me see how many people are in here. Oh. I'm going to see how many people show up for this live. So I'm going to wait for the girls to get here. I'm just waiting. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you. You guys are so sweet. Okay. Okay, so I'm really excited about tonight's live because it's something that I've been wanting to talk about for a while. Because it's hard. It's hard not following in your mother's footsteps. It's very hard. I love my mother to death. I do. I look up to her for other things. But when it comes to men, no. I do not look to her for any type of male advice. I love my mom. I would do anything for my mom. But when it comes to the male species, no. No, no, no. And I'm going to get into why, of course. I mean, I'm going to get into why. But I will remember, I still remember the day. Okay, I remember the day that I decided not to take my mother's advice. And I was dealing with a narcissist. And I asked her, I said, were there things about my father that you didn't like or you just couldn't stand by? And the piece of advice that she gave me, I will remember it until the day that, my time comes to transition. And it was the worst advice that I ever received in my life. This is me being honest. It was the worst advice that I received in my life. And a relationship that could have ended that day continued for another year. So let's get into it. And I went against my better judgment. I went against my inner voice. I went against my intuition. I went against how I truly felt about the situation because I was listening to my mother. And I'm going to tell you this, when it comes to your mom's advice, I think it's great. But at the end of the day, you ultimately have to make your own choices and decisions for yourself. And then also, my other piece of advice is that when we speak on this situation, you have to ask yourself, has your mom gotten any type of help outside of herself, like therapy, counseling, any type of help? If the answer is no, you need to rethink if that is a relationship where you should take advice when it comes to certain things. And I think that's huge. Like, my mom is very successful when it comes to her career. She's very smart. She's very intelligent. She is an amazing woman. But when it comes to relationships with men, it's just not the best. It is what it is. Hard pill to swallow. So let's go ahead. Okay, we're about 5 minutes in. Let's go ahead and start the video. Let me do my intro and then I'll be back. Hey boos, in this video, I give commentary based on my opinion. Nothing is to be taken as factual. We are just here to have conversation. We don't expose and we don't sip tea on this channel. I'm giving you real talk straight, no chaser. Let's see if you can handle it.
Cause I'm a boss. I haven't done anything for you to be proud of. Of course you have. You are marrying a man who can support you.
Okay. Sick, you guys. Oh, goodness. Why did it start over? Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to start with this slideshow. And I really want to get into the situation that took place on social media with Emily B and her daughter. So let's see. So first, I want to talk about how the two were on Instagram and they were complaining about having industry men, basically rappers. And if you know anything about industry men, they tend to live in just an unordinary type of lifestyle. Okay. And the reason why I wanted to use this as an example is because I think her name is Taina. She could have made a totally different choice when it comes to her lifestyle. She could have went off to college. She could have dated in college. She could have got courted in college. She could have done a lot of things with her life, but she decided to follow in her mother's footsteps. Now, we have all grown to love and in some cases adore Emily B because it's kind of like, girl, but at the same time, she's great when it comes to being a mother, in my opinion. She's great when it comes to her fashion choices and things like that. I love how she dresses. But when it comes to men, she seems to fall short. Now, I think this is interesting. We see a lot of Black women, particularly, that are highly intelligent, book smart. But when it comes to men, they tend to be not the brightest. I'll say that, not the brightest. So this is just another situation. So Emily B's daughter made the choice to follow in her footsteps. And she was recently on Instagram Live with her mom because they were promoting Tyler Perry's recent show, Sisters, and I guess doing some type of Instagram promo. And they did a little promo Instagram Live where they talked about, relationships and different types of relationships and things like that. And this is what her daughter had to say regarding men who work regular 9-to-5 jobs, which I found to be interesting. So let me go ahead and play that real quick.
Could you, I know this doesn't pertain to you, but could you ever date a guy with a 9-to-5?
I think so.
Yeah,
let me tell you something. This lifestyle is not for the weak, okay? Sometimes you might want to humble yourself and get you a 9-to-5 type of guy that comes home.
Yeah,
no joke.
It's
that's
not,
here at dinner time.
It's not easy. When you
it's not easy. No,
that's why as women you have to make your own money and have your own. So like those things don't really matter because at the end of the day you have your own. So anything a man has is just added to
No,
what you
I
have.
don't.
It's extra.
Okay, you guys. So yesterday, Emily's daughter, Taina, called her step.
I don't believe Emily B is black. I think she's a white Latina. Her daughter may be considered Afro Latina, but she is not. Okay. I'm just speaking on black women in general, like as a whole, not including her. She can relate, but I don't consider her to be black. So her daughter would be considered mixed with Afro American and Latin. I'm not sure how that works. I mean, of course, her daughter is biracial. Okay, that's what I thought. So I'm going to move on. So let's stay focused here. So after the situation that occurred on Instagram Live, Taina is the quiet one. Like, she really don't say much. If you guys didn't know, Taina's dad came from Emily B's previous relationship where she met and got pregnant pretty young, like at 16. And she was in a relationship from like 16 to 18 with her dad. So Emily B has never really been single. She has gone majority of her life in a relationship, which I think is interesting about this entire situation. She's never been by herself. She's always been in a relationship, even when she was a child. Okay. But recently, it was reported earlier this year that Fab and Emily B were allegedly separated, but the two haven't made any like announcements or made it known that they made a permanent decision regarding their separation or anything like that. But recently, Taina blasted Fab online for not taking care of his daughter, her younger sister, that he shares with Emily B. Now, they have a total of 3 kids, 2 boys, and recently they had a girl in 2020. Yes, very codependent, which you will see this a lot within the older generation of women. No shade, it's just the truth. So I'm going to get into this incident that took place with Taina and Fab online because she found Fab's post to her sister to be amusing, to say the least. And then also, it was rumored that Fab and Emily broke up around January or February of this year. But again, nobody made any announcements. I guess they just silently went their separate ways. And apparently, Emily B is the one that walks away from the relationship. So let's go ahead and get into that.
Dad Fabolous out for being a deadbeat towards her baby sister Journey, who is only 2 years old. Now, if you're not up to date, Emily and Fabolous are done. They have been broken up since about January, February, and Emily is trying to move on. So yesterday, Fabolous caught himself trying to post a happy birthday post to his daughter Journey. Taina was not going for it. So this is what he posted. I named you Journey because that's really what it's been. Might not know when you're going through it, but you'll get it at the end. I don't believe you can have faith unless you trust the journey. You have taught me that, so I look at you with understanding and love. Your life assures it will all add up. 10/10/2020. Happy B-Day, Journey Jackson. And this is how Taina responded. She said, this post is hilarious. Might not know when you're going through it, but you'll get it at the end. Is translation for I haven't taken care of my daughter in almost a year and don't even ask about her well-being because I don't care and I'm bitter and I'm only a father to my 2 beautiful sons who I can manipulate. Stop playing with the internet. So guess what Fabolous does in response to what Taina said? Big emphasis on the fact that she said he only takes care of his 2 sons and not his baby girl because he posted this picture on his Instagram with the caption that said, "If they happy, I'm happy. Thanks AEW for the hospitality. My boys had a good time at AEW Dynamite." Now, he has not posted his sons since March. So it's been 7 months since he posted his sons on his page. All of a sudden, after Taina calls him out for only caring about his sons and not his daughter, he posts them having a good time out. Mind you, the daughter is nowhere to be seen. I don't know what type of pettiness or flex or clapback he thought this was, but this ain't it. He literally proved her point to everyone. And this is how people responded. One person said, "It's not funny, but he definitely posted this because of her comment. He knew what he was doing when he wrote that. He should have ed Taina. He was scared to ed Taina though, trying to be petty with her, but it's only affecting his actual daughter." He just confirmed what she said, not him proving her point. And it's really pathetic to me because it's all about your daughter. It's all about your child. So at the end of the day, she's going to be the one that gets hurt the most. She's going to be the one that could possibly end up with issues because her dad is extremely immature and petty. And it's really coming off like he's so mad that she left him that he's trying to make her pay for it in some way. But that's just my opinion on the outside looking in. I do want to know what you guys feel about him doing what he did. You guys leave your comments below. Do not forget to subscribe, and I'll talk to you later.
You guys, I'm very aware that Dominican is not a race, it's an ethnicity. Now, y'all know we live here in the US, and you know that the US is so obsessed with putting us in categories. So we have to say things like you have a white Latina and you have a black Latina. Come on. Y'all know how it is. Y'all know how it is. Y'all know how it is, because if you get the two confused, representation is somehow, for black people particularly, is lost in the sauce. You will not see us on your screen. We will not be represented at all if we don't make that known between the two, because that is the country that I live in. Now, I can't speak for everybody else, so I'm not ignorant. I definitely know the difference, but we also have to make that known, because if not, they will whitewash us completely and we won't exist at all. Y'all saw what they did in Africa recently. Y'all saw what they did in Africa. So I'm very aware of the difference, but I don't think the people in this country, I don't think the people that made this country and the people that unalived certain people in this country that were here, I don't think that they I don't think they acknowledge that. So they made sure they separated the lime green Skittles from the yellow Skittles because it was such a big deal. So I don't know. Okay, so let me stay focused. The interesting part about Emily B and Fab's relationship. Okay, this relationship was doomed from day one. And the reason is because they met in 2001. And Emily B was at some type of event or whatever like that. You know, she was in the fashion industry. She was trying to get her name out there. And she styles people. She styles celebrities. She's known for styling celebrities and things like that. And so she ended up meeting Fab at some type of event. And instead of him approaching her, he actually sent his brother over to her to talk to her. And she ended up telling his brother, like, no, like, that's not cool. Tell him to come talk to me. Like, why are you approaching me? That is how they ended up meeting. And so after the brother went back to tell Fab what she said, then Fab went over and they exchanged. Well, they didn't exchange numbers. She gave him his number. And so a few weeks after the fact, yes, y'all, a few weeks, like 2 weeks after that, they ended up, he reached out to her and they ended up creating this bond and relationship. But y'all also remember the entire storyline for Emily B on Love and Hip Hop New York was the fact that Fab would not claim her publicly because of his image. He was a rapper and he felt like when it comes to, you know, the whole wife and kids thing, it just didn't fit into his image. Then that was like the first season, I want to say the first 2 seasons of Love and Hip Hop New York. Emily went on there because, you know, she was trying to get her name out there. She's, again, a celebrity fashion stylist, right? And so that was part of her storyline, was Fab did not want to claim this girl publicly. He even went as far as claiming his son at the time, but still not claiming Emily. And it was like a really, really, really big deal. Then, then moving forward, right? Y'all remember the season with Kimbella when she first popped up on the scene, Love and Hip Hop New York, and she basically told Emily, like, hey, I dated Fab. Now, listen, this is when it got real sticky because people were like, okay, how you dating Fab? But Emily has been with this man this entire time. So they were together for 20 years until this, for 20 years, if we count like this recent separation and things like that. So y'all remember that episode when Kimbella was like, yeah, me and Fab dated. And Emily is like, how you date Fab? That's my man, you know, and it got real messy, real quick. And so we saw Taina go through a similar situation with Ari Fletcher. And the girls were going back and forth online and things like that. And so the interesting thing about following and copying your mother is that you will find yourself in similar situations, whether it's drama, some type of trauma, some type of abuse and things like that. When you literally copy her, you can expect that, especially if you don't evaluate that maybe her lifestyle is not the best. Also, you know, Emily has been around through Instagram side chicks. She's been around knowing this man made it clear. Listen, ladies, if a man tells you that he looks at marriage as like a horror film, like the worst day ever, Fab would use this excuse. And this is outside of wanting to claim her publicly. This was outside of wanting to, he didn't want to like commit to her long-term through marriage. He made it known that marriage was this thing that if you sign this piece, you guys, I don't know why I did that. Somebody said that's when Love and Hip Hop was good. That was when reality TV was good. Are we back up? Oh my goodness. Are we good? Are we good now? I don't know what that was about. Okay, I don't know what that was about. Just so random. But like I was saying, that was when reality TV was really, really good. That's when I was really tuned in to reality TV. And during that time, like I said, Fab made it known to Emily that he was not trying to marry her. He was not trying to marry her. He wasn't trying to claim her. And the only, at this time, because they only had one child, which was, I believe, their oldest son. And he was only trying to claim the son. He wasn't trying to claim her. And I think that's a slap in the face, because it's like, how this woman sacrificed her body. This woman sacrificed all of these things, and you can't even claim her publicly, but you'll claim the son. It don't stop there, y'all. It don't stop there. So in 2018, you guys saw the big situation, and I can't play that video. I can't play the video because YouTube will flag it. Now, you guys saw the whole situation that took place in 2018 when it was alleged that he knocked her teeth out, that they had gotten into some type of argument and turned into a physical altercation. And so it ended up also involving her brother and father. Somehow Emily B ended up going back after the situation completely unfolded. It got so bad to the point where during this time, Fab was facing 20 years in prison for the physical altercation as well. And he ended up taking a plea deal during this time so that he would not face jail time. And of course, who was riding by his side? Emily. Emily B was holding it down. Emily B was holding it down. So this episode took place, I believe, the very first season of Love in Hip Hop New York. And these were the words Emily was speaking to Taina regarding her relationship with Fab and how she needed to leave him and how they were separated during this time. So I'm assuming maybe during this time, Kimbella and Fab were dating. Who knows? But let's go ahead and play this video so we can see what she had to say. Because I felt like it's great that moms, they give you all of this great advice. In her opinion, her mom did give her great advice, but her mom did not model the example. Let's take a look.
Fear is for you to make the same mistakes that I've made. I got pregnant at 16. So I want you to be better than me. Don't be like me, be better than me. I think you can see that. I always tell you that, right? Just because you love someone doesn't mean that you always have to just please them. You have to put you first. Sometimes to love is to let go. I have to love me, love my children, not focus on a man. It just might be us. Are you prepared for that? Things are going to be different. Your relationship with John doesn't have to change just because my relationship might change. Mm-hmm. He still loves you. I still love him. So if you love him, why are you leaving? Because sometimes love just isn't enough. She's at an impressionable age, and I have to answer that correctly because I need her to understand that just because sometimes when you love someone, love is just not enough. We're going to be okay. Come here, give me a hug. I love you. Come here. You know you're not allowed to have a boyfriend though, right? You told me thousands of times. You just remember that.
There comes a time in life as a woman where you realize that no matter how much you love and admire your father, he didn't treat your mother correctly. I grew up in a home where I had the most admirable father to the outside. He was a great man to other people.
Wait. Before we dive into it, that was the advice that Emily gave her daughter. And yet her daughter still followed in her footsteps because she watched her mother. We tend to pick up the habits of our mothers. We tend to do it in ways that are completely normal to where it's second nature. We don't always actually we don't even know that we're doing it. You know, when you have those incidences where you're doing something so regular and routine, or you're saying something that's so regular and routine, and you're like, oh my God, I sound like my mother. Or, oh my God, I'm just like my mother. It's something that you do subconsciously. And so I believe that is how Taina got into this, cycle with her mother, where they are just repeating the same cycle. And so it's interesting to see them Taina on Instagram Live, and she was saying how this lifestyle isn't for the weak. And it's interesting how her mother made it known to her that this lifestyle is not for the weak, yet she continued to follow in her mother's footsteps. And so it has led her to this lifestyle where her man is not home at night. He is not home for dinner. He is not home putting the kids in bed, giving them bedtime stories, and giving them their baths. She's doing a lot of these things on her own. And so at times it may seem like Taina is a single mother, in which Emily B a lot of times felt like she was a single mother. Now, the difference between the two is that Herb, whatever his name is, the little rapper, G Herbo, that's his name, right? He claims her publicly. he definitely takes the photos, you know, he does all the things that Taina really wants her to do, but when it comes down to it, he's not really supporting her in the way that she desires and needs, because at the end of the day, Taina made it known that if she had to choose between an industry man and working a 9-to-5 man, she said sometimes you may need to humble yourself because at least your man would be home for dinner time and things like that. So again, it's interesting how Taina ended up following in her mother's footsteps. Somebody said oregano. It's so interesting how y'all are a mess. It's so interesting how she fell right into the same footsteps as her mother when her mother did warn her. But at the end of the day, when you grow up in an environment and you are accustomed to a certain way of viewing life and living life, you're going to pick up certain habits that you may have seen your mother pick up on, like habits that your mother had, things that your mother would do, even things that your mother would say. You may even mirror some of her behavioral patterns and things like that. And you do it, once again, subconsciously. So this girl here, she went a little viral on TikTok for expressing the fact that she realized that her dad, we can only speak for her dad, okay? Her dad was a great father, but a horrible husband. And so I want to talk about this because I think a lot of women can relate to this situation. I think a lot of us have definitely witnessed how the relationship may be different between your dad and yourself versus your dad and your mom. For me, there was no difference. Everybody else gonna be different. There was a slight difference, but not a drastic difference where I'm like, oh, he was such a great father, but he was a horrible husband. I don't have that truth. That's somebody else's truth. But everybody's truth looks a little different. So my truth is, I felt like at times my father was harder on me and was mean to me. And I felt like it was because during that time in my childhood, I was the scapegoat. And so my dad, he had me hanging on by a thread, y'all. I'm just mentally by a thread because he was so mean to me. And now, as I'm older, I see how mean he is to my mother. So when I was in the household, I was the scapegoat. So if he had a horrible day, he took it out on me. If somebody upset him, he took it out on me. If there was an issue, he would find me to take it out on me. But now I'm seeing how because I have moved away. I'm no longer in the house. I'm no longer I barely call. I barely talk. And so I see how he takes all of that out on my mother. And I'm like, so I was the scapegoat. I was the scapegoat for a very, very long time. So my situation is a little bit different, but let's listen to what she has to say because everyone's truth is going to be a little bit different.
He had a great impact to the world, but the way he treated my mother was dog shit. I had to grow up and understand and learn that my mother was emotionally abandoned and abused and manipulated and not provided for and not cared for in the ways that she deserved to be cared for. Unfortunately, my mom lived way below the life that she could have lived because of the way my dad treated her. This is one of my primary motivations in educating Black women on how to date and how to organize your home so that you are treated in the right way. A woman is the center of a home, and you cannot have a home and a family and this family life where a woman is not being treated the way she's supposed to. A lot of us grew up seeing our moms work, clean, drive, cook, all the other bullshit and not getting pampered, not getting spoiled, not getting nail money, not ever getting money for a massage, not ever getting money for a facial. I have memories of my mom begging to get her nails done and my dad just saying no, just for no reason, and then buying himself a new $600 phone the next day. That's not right. But a lot of us grew up this way. And until we really consciously understand that seeing our mothers mistreated subconsciously made us think that we also deserve to be treated that way. A good example is my sister, who I'm going to throw under the bus. She is the most amazing person in the world, but she does too fucking much. And she burns out and stresses out all the fucking time. But guess what? We consider this normal because our mothers did it. At the end of the day, what I'm trying to say to you is if you don't like...
I got to stop her right there. I may have to rewind. I may have to rewind. She said her sister does too much, entirely too much. She needs to sit down somewhere because she's constantly getting burnt out. Now, I would like for you guys to raise your hand in the chat if that's not what you witnessed. Because recently, I didn't realize how bad it was. That's my mom too. I didn't realize how bad it was for Black women, how culturally speaking, we will work ourselves literally to a point of exhaustion, or where we would have like a panic attack. We could easily pass out. I've seen my mom in the hospital because she's dehydrated. She's not taking care of herself because she has no time to herself. Pampering is a luxury to her. And I know we're in this soft girl era, we're in this self-care era, but when it comes to that older generation of Black women, self-care is a luxury to them. Pampering themselves is a luxury to them. Them sitting down is a luxury to them. Them not needing to worry about this constantly is a luxury to them. So a lot of women, and then, you know, people want to make fun of the soft girl era or the soft girl lifestyle. People want to make fun of the Black girl luxury lifestyle and things like that. But what people don't understand is Black women actually deserve to be lazy at this point. Like, we actually deserve to be at this point where we rest and not feel guilty, where we can actually kick up our feet and not feel like, oh, we're being lazy. Because a lot of us, I'm gonna be real with you, a lot of us don't even know how to rest because we saw our grandmothers do it, running a house constantly. I mean, I remember when I was younger, I would watch my grandmother cook, and I'm talking about cook. I'm not talking about she got a box of this and she was mixing some stuff up with some water and calling it dinner. No, she was cooking from scratch. And then she would go downstairs. She would carry a load of laundry to the basement. And it would be like 2 and 3 laundry baskets. And I would help her down the stairs because these stairs were concrete. She had to go to the basement to wash. And so this was like a constant routine. And my grandmother, she wasn't the type that just washed the clothes. She was the type to wash all the linen on the bed. She was the type to wash the curtains. She kept her home very clean. And she was one of those type of people where she made sure that everything was clean, everything was put together, everything had to be in its rightful place. Otherwise, her house was a mess. And so every time I would go over there to my grandmother's house, she always felt the need to just be doing something. She just had to be busy. She could not just kick up and rest. Now, as she got older, she started to slow down. But she had to get older to slow down. She had to get older to slow down. And so the only time that I have honestly seen Black women actually like get some type of pamper was for church on Sunday. They would go to the beauty salon. That would be the one place in our culture where we could all just relax, and we would literally go in there and vent about our problems. We would go in there and vent about our problems. And that's not really self-care. That's not real self-care. And we're learning that. So a lot of Black women we have seen just women overworked. And then the sad part about it is a lot of women are saying things like, I don't know why we as Black women, we lose our edges, right? And I'm talking about pre-frontal wigs. We lose our edges because we don't take care of ourselves. We lose our edges because we're constantly overworking ourselves. We're stressed. We are not getting any type of real assistance. We don't have any emotional and mental outlet. I literally came across a video on TikTok where it's a healing circle where you purge, and you will see women around you dressed in white. and there will be a woman being nurtured by another woman dressed in white, and she's literally screaming in a trash can, and she's literally purging her pain. And I'm like, yes, inflammation. We see that a lot in Black women. We see that a lot. I'm going to see if I can find this video of this Black woman literally purging. And purging is a real thing where you basically go through the first beginning stages of healing when you purge your pain and you make it, you feel it. You guys, when I tell you, if I play this video, okay, I don't know if I can play it because I'm going to try not to cry. But if I play this video and you are not emotionally moved, I'm going to be shocked. Fibroids, it's all connected. It's all connected, you guys. Bad dining, mental health. And then another thing, a huge thing. This is huge. A lot of people always make fun of Black women for being overweight and being obese, right? We are the most obese in the US and things like that. But a lot of us use food as a scapegoat. We use food to deal with our problems, to cover up our problems, to make us feel temporarily better, or in the moment we feel better, but it's just a scapegoat. And so the interesting thing about this society is they will make fun of us for our weight. They will make fun of us for our hair. They will make fun of us for having an attitude, but no one ever cares to ask us, well, what's wrong? Are you okay? Is there anything that you need? But they will be quick. And this is why when it comes to taking care of yourself, you think about you and only you and no one else, because no one thinks about you. No one outside of yourself thinks about you. So you are priority. You have to make yourself priority. So they'll make fun of our hair. They'll make fun of our weight. They'll mock our attitudes and mimic our attitudes, but no one ever thinks to ask, are you okay? Do you need help? Is there anything that you need? Can I do anything for you? Nothing. So it's interesting. And we watched our mothers bear it all, do it all, and survive. Not live, survive. Every day they wake up, it's survival. Every day they lay their head down on that pillow, they are restless. They don't even sleep. A lot of y'all's mothers don't even sleep. They don't even sleep. They don't rest at night. They're restless at night. There's a difference. There's a difference. She's not sleeping. She's restless. She is restless. She probably, and that's the thing about exhaustion, is you could be so tired. And when you're a Black woman, you could be so exhausted and be restless to the point where you can't even get a good night's rest. I don't think my mom has. I don't think I've ever, within the 30 years that I have witnessed my mother, I don't think I've ever seen her rest, like sleep well, in a deep sleep. I don't think I've ever seen her do that. I don't. But let's continue. I'm going to try to find that video.
The way your mom lived, don't repeat her choices. That's the reason the previous generation went through what they went through, so we can do better. I would expect my child to do much better than I do, because you should learn from my life, learn from my mistakes. Starting in the dating process, make sure that you're choosing someone who knows how to prioritize you, who knows how to prioritize your feelings, and who knows how to provide for you. Provision is not just finance. Provision is emotional availability. Provision is looking out for you. Provision is having the care to have leadership for you, for your home, to solve problems in the house. It's the ability to connect with you, provide for you, protect you. This is the function that men thrive in, but you have to be willing to accept it. If you're a Black woman, you need to pay extra attention to how you interact with men and how you interact with people, and the messages that you send to people that you've been subconsciously trained to see yourself as less than human, less than worthy, less than deserving, and somehow that you're the person who has to work 3 times harder than everybody else. That doesn't make any fucking sense. I see a lot of women get mad when Black women talk about being spoiled, being cared, being loved, being catered to. And these are the same women who split the child support or pay the child support for the kids that your man had with a completely different woman. You're the same woman that cleans up a man's emotional baggage. Change. It's time to grow up. Step one for me was figuring out what predisposed my mom to making the mistakes that she did. Of course, hindsight is 2020, and that's why it's so important that we learn in this country from history and in our personal relationships from our parents' history. In my mom's situation,
I want to stop her right there because there was a woman that she's responding to in this TikTok video where she asked, I'm kind of at a crossroad where I'm trying to figure out how to not make the same mistakes my mom made. And that is why I'm making this video. First of all, you need to ask yourself, do you truly feel like your mother is happy? Do you feel like your mother is actually happy? That's number one. Number two, then you need to ask why. Why is she not happy? Then you need to follow up with, what do you think would make her happy? And then that's how you need to live your life. Just like that. Just like that. Just like that. Black women have gut health issues. They have inflammatory issues. They have, I'm going to just say, uterus issues. They have alopecia. They have oh my God, they're more prone for dehydration. They don't drink. Some of them just don't have the time to drink water because they're constantly on the go like that. Also, they have hormonal issues as well. And so you tend to see hair right here and hair right here. And it's because they're that deep in survival mode. And then you have Black women that suffer from just aching muscles and knees and just, I can't even think. They just have a lot of health issues, physical health issues and things like that. And so another thing that you will see within Black women as well is the fact that their beauty tends to take a hit as well, which is huge, right? And then when their beauty takes a hit, like they start to gain extra weight in areas that they don't like, or they start to lose weight in areas that they don't like, that plays a major, and that takes a major toll on their self-esteem, their confidence. They start looking at themselves differently. I'm going to play this video real quick because I just found it. There are real reasons why you shouldn't follow in your mother's footsteps. And listen, it's not, and this is another thing I have to make clear. When you're observing these issues, it's not to place blame or shame. Your mother sacrificed a lot. She sacrificed a lot. And you need to get real about the fact that your mother couldn't give you what was not given to her. So you can't, you kind of have to look at it from a standpoint of a child, right? Like a toddler. A toddler doesn't know how to express their emotions. A toddler does not know how to deal with things emotionally when life or something happens to them that does not go their way, right? And so you have to give grace to a toddler because a toddler don't know no better. This is no different than your mother. You cannot expect things of her that were not given to her. You cannot. It's not even fair. So it's really about you realizing this and being, I hate to say it, but taking a more mature approach, looking at it from a bird's eye view. How can I expect this of my mother and it wasn't given to her? How can I expect that of her? How? It's impossible. I'm literally asking her to give me something and she doesn't even have it. It was never given to her. And so you actually look at your mother in a way where it's like, okay, I need to extend some grace. I need to extend some compassion from a place that I'm broken as well, because it's generational. I have to extend compassion from a place where I'm broken because of her brokenness. And then when you acknowledge that within yourself, then you have to build yourself from that place. That's how you restore your bloodline. That's how you become the cycle breaker in your family, because you realize, okay, like this actually starts with me, because I'm able to see. See, awareness actually is what creates the freedom that so many people are looking and searching for. People look and search it in money, materialism, men, but the freedom really is awareness, because it will remove so many burdens off of your shoulders because you have awareness. So this resentment, this bitterness that you have towards your mother is instantly removed because you have the awareness now that I cannot expect things from my mother that were not given to her. I can't even expect things from my grandmother that were not given to her. But what I can do is I can repair this issue within myself. And I'm going to tell you guys now, the number one issue that a lot of our moms have is self-love. It's choosing self. It's not self-sabotaging for the sake of sacrificing, for the sake of love. Because you have to give love to yourself first. Otherwise, you're going to continuously pour from an empty cup. And we've watched our mothers do that constantly. We've seen what it does to them physically, mentally. So because of that, you have the awareness to change that. You have the awareness to extend compassion to your mother, extend understanding to your mother, but also not follow in the footsteps, because you understand that she did not have the opportunity to do what you're doing because of the lack of awareness. And someone said she should have never had me. I could agree with that. I could agree with that. But I mean, how do you know that she didn't have you for the love that she did not have in herself? I see a lot of women having children because they're looking for that love that they didn't get from their parents, or they didn't get from the man, that they were with. So they went through with the pregnancy in hopes that this child would give them the love that they were looking for. I see that a lot. Okay, so this is what I'm going to share my screen here. I see that a lot. I see a lot of women having kids because they never got that love. And the love that they're looking for actually is within themselves, but they think it's outside of themselves because they have been conditioned to believe that. Again, back to self-awareness. They don't have the awareness, you guys. But you do. So you have the awareness to not follow in her footsteps, not to have a baby just to get the love, when you have the awareness now that the love actually comes from within myself. Okay, so this video, this is what purging looks like. 100%. I say 100%. 100%. Black women all need to do this. 100%. Everybody need to do it. This is what healing looks like. People think healing is, oh, you don't get mad, you don't get angry, you don't get bitter. No, you get mad, you get very angry, you get emotional. You are really purging that emotion, like you're letting it out. You're not suppressing it. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. Hold on, I need to. Hold on, let me wait. I want to wait for it to start at the beginning. You know what I find interesting about this society? She can do that in church. She can do that in church, but she can't do it like that. All of a sudden, it goes from, oh, that's the Holy Spirit, to she's crazy. I love how this society works. Don't you love it? Don't you love it? But I don't know about you guys, but I heard her pain. I heard her pain literally leaving her body. I felt her pain. I felt it. A lot of Black women need to do that because you're holding it all in and you're driving yourself crazy. You're driving yourself insane. A lot of Black women need to purge. A lot of Black women need to purge. If you ever go and you get a Reiki healing done or anything like that, that's basically what they're doing. They're literally pulling out that trauma that you have buried in you that you either have forgotten about. Because it's interesting when it comes to trauma, your memory gets real fuzzy because you're in survival mode, like you're in this fight or flight mode, and so your memory gets real foggy. So a lot of you are carrying just a lot of burdens, but you don't even realize it because you've either forgotten about it or you just, patch yourself back up. You know how it is as a Black woman. You patch yourself back up and you keep it moving. But it's time to purge. It's time to let it out. It's time for you to move on with your life so like you can live a life that is truly balanced. That's what it's really about. But I'm going to move back to the girl that was speaking. Yeah, there are different ways to purge, but I felt like that one was very interesting. I've never seen it done like that, but I felt her pain for real. Okay, let me continue. You can purge by writing. You can purge by venting, communicating. You can purge in so many different ways. You can purge through art. You just have to put your intentions behind it. I just never saw it done like that. You can even purge by working out. I don't know why it's like, what is going on? I've seen people throw stuff. I've seen people break stuff. I mean, what did y'all think Bernadine did in Waiting to Excel? When she set that car on fire, she was purging. Now, I mean, my Gemini rising would say, I loved it, but we all can't, set a car on fire. And when the fire department come, give us a slap on the wrist. Like, hey, we all can't do that. Okay, I'm going to have to refresh. But that was another way that she purged. She did. She decluttered. She did all types of stuff. Another way you can purge is by cleaning out your personal space, getting rid of things that remind you of who you used to be. Let it go.
Could you ever? Question. Could you? I know this doesn't pertain to you. I mean, but could you? Could you ever date a guy with a 9 to 5?
I think so.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. This lifestyle is not for the weak, okay? Sometimes you might want to humble yourself and get you a 9 to 5 type of guy that comes home.
Yeah,
no joke.
It's
That's here at dinner time.
It's not easy.
Come on. Okay, so let's get back to this girl. When she was asked, like, basically being at a crossroads, making sure that you don't follow in your mother's mistakes or copy your mother's mistakes.
Of course, hindsight is 2020, and that's why it's so important that we learn in this country from history and in our personal relationships from our parents' history. In my mom's situation, she'd married someone that was wealthy in Africa and had every amenity provided to her and was very comfortable and happy. And then they moved to the United States, literally into abject poverty. So that in itself wasn't her fault. But I think where her mistakes started to happen is like the not believing in herself. And I get it, like not knowing the language, not knowing the culture, my dad knowing it a little bit better than her, it definitely put her at a disadvantage. But at the same time, of course, hindsight is 2020. I think there's a part of you as a woman that has to understand, like, I can also do anything. Just because I am allowing my man to have the respect of me being able to depend on him, it doesn't mean that if he fucks up that I won't leave. It doesn't mean that if he can't do something that I can. Bottom line, I'm going to be loyal to myself and I'm going to make sure that I'm good all the time. It doesn't matter if I've been married for 35,000 years. I'm still going to do those things. But I definitely learned that from my mom's situation. Once you figure out what factors made your mom make the decisions that she made, make sure you take yourself out of those situations. I've always been very adamant about making money. I've always been very adamant about putting myself in good environments. I've always been very adamant about reinforcing my confidence in what I'm capable of. Those were the things that hurt my mom, and those are the things that give me the power to live a different life now. And I think that's probably a good place to start. My relationship with my dad actually got a lot better once I was able to realize that just because he wasn't a good husband didn't mean he wasn't a good dad.
Now, everybody's situation is going to be different regarding their father, but G Goddess, thank you for the super chat. But which TikTok were you wanting? Now, the girl that's currently speaking, her TikTok is Finny Faith 1. So FENDI and then Faith 1. And then the other TikTok, I gotta pull it up because I'm not even sure what that one. See if I can find it. Nurtured by Nature, but it's spelled. Let me put it in there. Yeah, Nurtured by Nature. Okay, there we go. So let me put hers in here too, just in case, in the chat box. So you guys can have it and support them. Okay. Okay, so everyone's situation is going to be a little different. If you don't know your father, I guess this won't pertain to you. If you do know your father, maybe the relationship dynamic was a little different. You never know. But everyone's situation is going to be a little different. But she was saying that her dad's relationship actually got better. Let's see what else she has to say, though.
And honestly, there were times where like the emotional maturity as a father could have been higher. But honestly, at the end of the day, my dad put me in the perfect situation to be who I think I always wanted to be. Like I think that I was like born very much ambitious and born someone who wanted to make something of themselves. And I don't think that I would have been able to cultivate that without my dad. And I think he made so many sacrifices to put me in the position to be who I am today, to be like the person who could achieve the things that I want to achieve with my life. So I do forgive him. And at the same time, like, it's still justice for my mom. You know what I mean? And at the same time, it's like, I have a lot of compassion for him and all the things that he went through that made him resort to emotional violence in his relationship. And I don't absolve my mom of the things that she could have done differently either. Like at the end of the day, as much as I love my mother and as much as I support her and like she is just my number one in life forever and she always will be, there's always more that like we can learn. There's always more that we can do to do better. There's always a way that we can show up to our lives in ways that are going to help us get what we want. And sometimes I think she failed to do that. And that's a good lesson to learn, you know? Basically, to answer your question, I'm not mad at him at all. I just acknowledge that certain patterns of how he treated my mom affect what I expected in dating. And I also had to acknowledge that I was looking for him and men for years and years and years. And thank God I finally stopped.
Women, you have to make your own money.
Well, I can relate to the dad combo because, you know, you got to understand too, and I'm not condoning abuse of any kind, but sometimes when it comes to healing, it's trying to understand why the trauma even came about. And when it comes to your father, like he has trauma as well. And then also, I hate to say it, but because of his trauma, it made you who you are today. And so it's like you're mad, you're angry, right? And you in some cases want to be spiteful, but then on the other hand, you question like, well, who would I be? Who would I even be who I am today? So it kind of it helps you heal a little bit better. I'm not saying it helps you heal easier. It helps you heal in a way that you can heal, because if you don't look at it that way, you're never going to heal. You're just never, because you're going to be a victim. You're going to be a victim. And when you are a victim, there's no healing involved with that. So I had to come to the realization that at the end of the day, you know, I didn't agree with what he may have done, right? But I love the person that I became because of it, unfortunately. And I don't want to trade that in, you know? And so I have had to just accept that, you know, this is how my life turned out. This is how it ended up being. And I'm just going to move forward and just try to understand why my life happened in the earlier stages in the way that it did. Because who I am today, I just don't know I would be that person if those things did not happen to me earlier on. I don't even think I would have this platform. I don't think I would even go as hard as I go as a person overall, like being ambitious, not taking no for an answer, going up and being a rebel, being outspoken, speaking my mind, not being afraid to do it. And then also, I hate to say it, but my dad was a great example of what I didn't want. You know, like I hate to say it like that, but when you are not emotional availability is so big to me. And it's because I never had that. And just like she said in the beginning, she was trying to attract her father, right? So I did the same thing. I went through a phase where I was attracting my father and I was attracting men that were emotionally unavailable, because that's what I was accustomed to. I was accustomed to men that were emotionally unavailable. And so I started noticing a pattern, like, why is it that all the men I attract, they just seem so cold, so distant, so detached, so not emotionally there for me? And I had to put I had to connect the dots, like, oh, because my dad was like that. And so I had to unpack that within myself. It takes time, you guys. This journey is not easy. It's something that you have to do. And so I think Taina is in the same situation. I think she's in a similar situation. Her dad was not around really at all. And so she attracted a man that's what? Not around, barely, and so he's there 1 minute, but he's not there. And so she's accustomed to that. She doesn't know that, you can get a partner that's consistent in the physical and in the emotional. So we tend to attract our fathers as well. And so it's something that you have to be aware of, so that you're not following, once again, in your mother's footsteps. Because again, your mother attracted your father. Your mother attracted your father. Just like you're going out into the world and you accidentally attracted your father, just know it started with your mother. That's a lot to unpack. That's a lot to unpack in itself. That is a lot to unpack in itself. So just acknowledge the patterns, be aware, give your mother compassion and understanding, because at the end of the day, there was just a lot that was not given to that older generation of Black women. So much was not given to them. So much. So just be careful of that. That's pretty much all I have regarding this video. If I was to come back on here and do like a late night chat, what topic would you guys like for me to cover? Because I'm going to go ahead and end this live here. Yes, we attract our parents, you guys. Is trying to address the daddy issues by attracting the same man, hoping to change him. Yes, it's subconscious. That's why you have to check yourself. That's why you have to parent yourself. You have to parent yourself. Otherwise, if you don't parent yourself, if you don't check yourself, you're going to repeat the same thing. Oh, I do want to talk about the Blueface situation. I do. Okay, I may come back, you guys. I'll pick a topic. But you guys enjoy the rest of your night. I'm going to go ahead and end this live here. But hopefully this video gave you some things to think about if you cannot afford therapy, because these are things that I am unpacking in therapy. So if you would like to book a session with me, you can always book a session with me. But I am booked up for the next 2 weeks. And I think my availability doesn't start again until November. So if you want to have an offline conversation with me in private, I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you. But you guys enjoy the rest of your night. And I may come back and talk about the Blueface situation, because that is something I want to talk about. They did just release their promo for their show, and I'm not really happy about it. But y'all let me know. Please give the video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in my next one.